for its design. It's actually a really nice design, except the fan just doesn't turn on for another 20 seconds.
Okay, so should we get started?
And they get to figure out that I don't know how it goes together.
Yeah, I know. Now neither of us looks like an expert. So I've done an iMac 5K, but I've never done an iMac Pro, like in terms of disassembly and reassembly. Have you done an iMac 5K?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The last time I reassembled an iMac was 2012. Most of what we do is liquid damage repairs. You got to be pretty special to spill water on there. Yeah, like water typically goes down, not sideways.
You'd have to be drinking water over a bare board sitting on a table.
Yeah, you have to just like fountain it into your iMac to help with volume.
Or someone has to say something really funny.
One thing that sucks with this form factor, at least for the older ones, is that if you want to replace the hard drive, you have to remove the screen to get to the drive, and the screen cable is short, so when people take the screen out, they don't realize they have to hold the screen on their chest. They don't do that. They just take the screen out like this. They wind up ripping the screen connector right off the board.
Okay, so do we want to put this... No, I mean, no. Just this should be okay, right?
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second, because we've got brackets in here called like Wi-Fi and stuff. So I want to make sure that
this has Ethernet though, right?
That's one thing that I have to say I love about Apple. They're wireless. It's just they're the only ones that I'm aware of that do a 3x in a notebook. Because everyone else is using the mini PCIe standard that is just not physically large enough to do a 3x. So this looks like some kind of sense for the power supply, I guess. Okay, so hold on, we probably gotta put this lead in. Oh, okay, that one comes around as well. Okay. This guy's locking it. Hold on. Okay. Oh, that's lifting up some kind of cover that probably serves some kind of purpose. Here, hold on. Okay.
It covers the coil.
Covers things that you shouldn't touch, I guess. Let's see if I can kind of guide you in here.
Stay out, cables.
You really go ham. Like, it's funny, because I get a lot of flack for just kind of, like, going for it with stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as we know, this board works, so please do be very careful.
No pressure.
Why did I fly him in from New York to do this for me?
So I could learn.
There we go. Now we're getting in there.
Aha.
There we go.
Bada bing.
Bada bing.
It's like being a dentist. It's like
Say ah! Okay, do we want to screw it in first, maybe? Or no, we want to
see if it works before you screw it in. It's bad luck to screw it in before you see if it works.
So my thing is I don't close the panel first. But I'm willing to screw in a board. I don't like motherboards sliding around on standoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Can I put it in two grooves?
Okay.
Stressing out here. One thing about working on a PC like this that legitimately should require certification and legitimately is dangerous for the average person is the fact that it has exposed leads on the capacitors on their power supplies. No, there's nothing that goes on here. It's just like this. That is extremely dangerous. You could die. This is nothing. This is no tongue-in-cheek, haha, Apple or anything like that. Just I've never actually seen another finished goods product like this with an exposed power supply like that. And as far as I can tell, the only reason they've done it is so that they can use the cooler unit here to cool the power supply without it having its own fan, which would, because of the thin form factor, be quite small and therefore whiny.
I'm surprised they didn't put at least some sort of cage over it that happened to be grounded, so that if somebody was going into, let's say, clean their fan, they don't do that. Because this is one of those things where I like to joke in my videos, but I would not want to touch that, and there is a good chance of somebody opening this and actually hurting it.
Even if it's unplugged.
Yeah, because those capacitors will stay charged for a long time after.
Long time. Sometimes months or even years. You don't mess around with that stuff. Now, actually, on the subject of these things being exposed, a lot of people have asked us what exactly happened, because the way that we showed our iMac Pro failure was in the form of like a reenactment, because obviously the camera wasn't rolling while we dropped the display. Yeah, those sparks. Those After Effects drawn sparks. Very realistic. I know, we deceived everyone. So what actually happened was when Anthony was removing the display,
It'll be a male-to-male, yeah?
Something in here, and it caused a spark.
Male-to-male TV fly lead.
And caused him to drop the display. That was what caused the spark.
Male-to-male TV fly.
That's why, from the very beginning, we have deceived no one. We knew we definitely had a broken display. But we also possibly had a dead motherboard, and therefore, by extension, a dead power supply. Actually, the spark was off the power supply. So, you know, it's funny. A shield would have prevented all of this.
The shield would have prevented all
How
that.
interesting. So, sorry, the spark on a power supply. So, you know, when you short out a power supply, you can kind of kill almost anything downstream. And because on this particular machine, the power for everything runs through the motherboard, it was probably going to burn something on the motherboard before it carried through to something else. So that was where our conclusion came from. We definitely had a dead screen because it was cracked. We knew that we potentially had a dead power supply and a dead motherboard, but that our other components probably worked. With that said, I've seen a lot of shorts occur in my day that have not resulted in dead hardware. Or I've seen them partially fail. Like, oh, well, now you've got a
If you send 12 volts to the 5-volt rail, your machine's dead. If you send 12 volts to ground, they just saw it get spark, but it's nothing else.
Wow, you know, those viewers are right. This is really complicated. Because, I mean, the whole thing, like, oh, it's like a supercar. You saw those comments, right? It's not designed to be, you know, taken apart and put together. And I'm kind of like, well, then how does Apple, you know, take it apart and put it together? Because they can. They just wouldn't. So here's another thing that would definitely require training. The screws for the power supply and for just generally mounting the motherboard are threaded the same as far as I can tell, but they should not be confused because the power supply ones have these washers on them, and they are actually designed, we were talking about this off camera, how does the power supply connect to the motherboard? It's actually through screw connections here. So these ones with the little kind of mark next to them that looks like a little oval-shaped mark. Those ones use the silver screws, and then everything else uses the black ones. That is a bit of a trick, and we would need to be very careful with something like that. Oh, not that one. That moment when you bring in like a celebrity repair technician, and it turns out maybe you should have gotten a real repair technician.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, this is not very difficult. Should an Apple authorized service provider, like, is there any justifiable reason why they shouldn't be able to just stock replacement parts for an operation like this and be able to turn a board swap around for a customer in a day?
The reason that they don't want them to have parts in stock is because they're afraid of them ending up on the open market or on eBay or being resold. Like that data recovery tool that I had bought for the new touch bar MacBooks, I got it from some likely authorized service center that was selling all of them on the side. The downside of it is that if the parts are not stocked, the customer has to wait 1 to 3 weeks to get it in. If you tell somebody it's going to take longer than 2 to 5 days, they just walk out of the store.
This is an entirely different story. Imagine for a second that I'm not some YouTuber, also a celebrity technician. You know, imagine that I bought this $5,000 machine so that I could run my, you know, home graphic design business. Imagine that someone told me this is going to cost more to repair than I initially spent on it. How does that make any sense? The thing that made me most furious was the people acting like that argument made any sense. That a machine could be a total write-off when not every component of it was dead.
And no broadcast facility is going to allow that. Any sort of recording studio, any sort of video or news editing room, they expect that there be virtually no downtime. They're going to have a machine to swap in a place, and they expect to be able to repair this because they're using it for real work.
Not to mention for a reasonable price. I expect when I buy a replacement piece of something, whether it's a car or a vacuum cleaner, that if I were to buy every piece of it and assemble it myself, it should cost a little bit more. But I don't expect that if I were to buy all the pieces as replacement parts, that the machine would cost literally double, even if I'm putting it together myself. That doesn't make any sense. Anyone making the argument that Apple can't sell it to me for cheaper because they got to make money, their business, is clearly not doing the math. Because if Apple couldn't afford to sell me this board for around $1,000, then they couldn't afford to build this computer. I think I doofed on this one. So the Wi-Fi thing is also a little bit tricky. You've got to slide it into 4 little notches on the shield right here.
SD card or the thing.
Card reader is over here somewhere. So it's over here somewhere. Oh, it's to hold that do that in.
I've done worse.
Okay, let's not turn this into a competition of which of us has done worse, because that's not going to be, that's not, you know,
Setting the Thunderbolt circuit on fire.
we were talking about credibility earlier, you know, that's not going to help either of
That's
us.
the thing is sometimes I'll read out the letter that somebody sent in with their machine. So they'll know, okay, he's working on mine. And then when I'm streaming it, they'll see like me saying, okay, this is just for Thunderbolt. Screw this. I'll just take the soldering iron and go wink, wink, wink. And then he'll get a call later saying, excuse me, was that my machine that he just ripped the Thunderbolt, USB, and Wi-Fi circuitry off? And then I'll have to explain to him, no, he's joking. He's going to put that back when he gets it to turn on. And then he'll like walk over to me and say, did you stream talking all that stuff? You watched these videos before you sent it. You must have been expecting, like, you know what you're getting. It's not like it's false advertising.
So this is like me and my wife. Like I'll make some sort of like really offensive off-color joke, and I'm just like, hun, I mean, we were dating for 6 or 7 years before we got married.
You knew what you were watching.
You knew, yeah, that's like,
But yeah, when people watch the live streams of their stuff getting fixed, I can only imagine how stressful that is because of the show name.
what you're saying, everything you see on TV is not, you know, an accurate reflection of real life. You put on a show. I think the real takeaway here is that if we can handle this, Apple's store probably could have handled it.
See if we get fan spin.
It may not actually do that. And there's a lot of stuff wired into the display, not just.
Woo! Fan spin.
Well, we did.
We're done. Oh, Jackie's on.
We have to put the panel back on. That's the whole point.
Fan spin.
That's what was broken.
Fan spin.
So this is the one actually like special thing, and it's a part that iFixit sells. If you were to take apart and put back together on Mac Pro, other than that, you just need a screwdriver, a couple of Torx bits, nothing really special. Like, you'd be surprised how many repairs you only really need a pretty basic toolkit for.
This is the hardest part of this repair, actually, is finding the proper piece. And this goes back almost 10 years with this stuff. Is that if you can open it up, you can. It's putting it back together. If you just go to Home Depot and try to find a piece that fits, it's just gonna fall right out.
Oh, they sent two, just in case they knew who they were.
iFixit does sell really good adhesive toolkits for these machines, also.
Well, no, I was saying they sent two. They clearly knew who they were dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
They expected me to screw it up once. We brought up the guide for putting on the strips. You really don't want to screw this up because they're one-time use. Oh, holy crap. They've got like 8 steps for each strip. They really walk you through the steps there. I think I can handle this. It should be noted that there's not actually that much pressure on you because we are going to take it apart again for sure to do our iMac Pro repair guide, which is what we were trying to do in the first place.
I'm offended at being on video with this file.
It's so frustrating to me that Apple tries to create this, like, you know, mystique around how difficult these machines are to repair. And the really frustrating thing is that it works. We had these comments from people who think that it's more than printed circuit boards, capacitors, wiring, and stickers.
I think like a lot of people have bought into the idea that this is kind of a utopia. In some ways it is. The software is easier to use, it didn't crash as much when Vista was out, it looks nice,
Did you
it's
put
fine.
this on?